What do you want to know? Come on. Or I'm going to go in now, so if you don't... What? Doesn't matter which one run. There'll be a quarterback that'll be named next week that'll be the starter. There's 3 quarterbacks on this football team. Whichever one starts, starts. Whichever ones don't, will back him up. Period. Cut and dried. It's nobody's concern but ours. Nobody's. Next.
The football world associates Mike Ditka with the Chicago Bears, and with good reason. He spent a combined 17 years with the team as an all-pro tight end and Super Bowl winning coach.
See that? That's your IQ, buddy. 0.
However, in truth, Ditka considers himself as much a Cowboy as a Bear, having spent 13 seasons with Dallas as a player and an assistant coach.
I mean, I love the Cowboys. I still love the Cowboys. I mean, it doesn't matter who owns them or what's changed. The Cowboys are the Cowboys. They're special. How about them Cowboys?
More importantly, though, during his time with the Cowboys, he found a father figure in legendary head coach Tom Landry, who altered his life for the better.
They did have a close relationship. I think that, of all things, Tom Landry brought Mike Ditka to Christianity, of all things. I mean, he says that today, and it's it helped. I mean, the seed that was planted with Tom Landry in the very beginning matured with Mike Ditka, and he became a changed person later in his life.
There's only one thing that can make anything like that grow. It's called respect. I had the utmost respect for who he was, what he was, how he went about it, how he led his life, his Christianity, everything.
After earning 5 Pro Bowl nods with Chicago, Ditka spent 2 forgettable seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles. His career appeared all but over. However, despite coming off a 12-2 finish in 1968, Landry felt the Cowboys were a little soft and wanted to add a certain type of player to his locker room.
We had a team full of good, really young players, but we didn't have any guys that were shit kickers. And that was what Mike was.
I was a little goofy too when I first got there. You know, I had gone through a couple of things. I, went out and left Chicago, went to Philadelphia, spent 2 years in hell. I tell people, then I went to heaven in Dallas, and that's basically what I say, and it's true.
I mean, Coach Landry definitely knew what he was doing because he was exactly what we needed. We were, known as, a soft team, a team that, was going to beat you by finessing you. And Ditka brought just the opposite. I mean, he just wanted to run over everybody, knock everybody down, whatever, but also had tremendous amount of talent.
He called me on the phone when I was released by Philadelphia, and he says, do you think you can still play football? That's what he said. Hi, I'm Mike, this is Tom Landry of Dallas Cowboys. He said, do you think you can still play football? I said, Coach, I can play. He said, you better be able to play because I just traded for you.
I know that he was such a champion, and such a great guy that brought toughness to our team. I mean, he really did. He brought an element of toughness that he just exuded that everywhere, and I think it was contagious with the players.
Well, I was scared of him, just like everybody else. Mike was one tough son of a gun. I mean, that's who he was.
I think everybody had a great deal of respect for him, and most of the guys didn't really know Mike real well, but I did. I knew him pretty well. I was very happy he was coming. I knew he would add a lot of fire to our team, which we kind of needed.
When I left Chicago, it was like I was a loose cannon. And then when I got there, I only had one purpose. That was to play as good as I could and to help them win. And it worked out good for me. No, I wasn't going to be the star of the team or one of the big stars, but I was certainly going to be a guy that made the running back a little better by blocking for him, or the quarterback a little better by catching the ball once in a while.
The Dallas Cowboys Legends Show is presented by AT&T. Texas Lottery. Play the Dallas Cowboys scratch ticket today. It's your ticket for a chance to win big. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.
The change of scenery revitalized Ditka's career, and while many were leery of him joining the team, he immediately became not only a hard-nosed leader for the Cowboys, he was also well-liked by his teammates.
He was a great teammate. He was a motivator, but he was a great teammate. He was funny. I mean, he really was. He always had some joke or something.
I knew he was a winner. I knew he was tough. I knew he could catch. I knew he could make the big plays, which he did.
I remember Mike, he represents what I always thought tight ends should be all about. Tough, hard to bring down, catch passes in crowds.
I mean, Mike, is a great receiver, a great blocker. I mean, he has a combination, which is what you want, with a tight end. And, came in and he fit right in. I mean, really and truly, because you saw his personality. I mean, he wants to win. He wants to win at everything.
He was a tight end. He split out. He caught a pass, got a down-in pass. This guy gave him a dirty shot, hit him, and another defensive back tackled him. So when he got up, he just turned around. He threw the ball on the ground, he had his fist, and punched this guy right through the face mask. And no one on Cleveland went after him.
It used to make him really mad because I'd cover him real close, and the way he would run his route, and then I'd be real close to him, and right at the end he'd hit me with a forearm and knock me back, then turn around and catch the ball. And so that's the way he learned a new technique. And I never said anything about it, so I couldn't.
Walt Garrison or Dave Edwards, I don't recall which, it might have been Dave, nicknamed him Chipmunk because he had big cheeks. So a lot of times we called him Chip. And or Monk. I think he didn't like Chip too well. I think Monk was what we finally settled on.
The Cowboys went 42-13-1 in Ditka's 4 seasons with the team and played in a pair of Super Bowls. His best year came in 1971 when Dallas defeated Miami 24-3 in Super Bowl VI. Ditka had a touchdown reception in the big win, but his efforts off the field proved just as valuable.
And so he was well respected, and he was really a team player. In that 71 season, when we turned it around, I used the story of how we won 10 in a row because we started to play together as a team. And Mike was responsible for a lot of that. He's the one that, along with some of the other players, with Leroy and others, that had a lot to do with making sure that we got that season turned around.
I got in the best shape of my life, and I actually think, in my mind, the best football I ever played was in Dallas because it was team football. I was part of it. I wasn't trying to be a superstar, catch a number of passes. I was just trying to do what I could do to help the Dallas Cowboys win a football game.
Well, I think we ought to just go with our regular stuff and blow them out of there. They're playing a little strong toward Pettis, I think.
Following the 1972 season, at 33 years of age, Iron Mike Ditka announced his retirement. And in 1988, he became the first tight end elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. As for his post-playing career,
well, I've decided to retire from football actively and pursue a career in coaching right now. And it's something I've always wanted to do, so I'm going to have the opportunity to work with the receivers with the Dallas Cowboys, which I think is, the greatest organization in football, and I think I can learn a lot, and I think I can contribute something.
I think when Coach called me in, he says, you've had a great career here, and I said, I think you've slowed down. You can't really help us a lot, and he was right.
I think what he saw in him is that passionate guy on offense.
And so he said, well, you know what? I'd like you to think about maybe coming on and coaching the tight ends and the special teams. I didn't think. I said, well, okay, let me think about it. I'll call you back. Well, I went home, and as soon as I got home, I called him back. I said, Coach, I'd like to take that job. The best decision I ever made in my life.
as intense as they come on the field, Mike Ditka took that same passion and drive to the sidelines as an assistant coach for Tom Landry.
It evolved in many ways, but he taught me how to coach. He taught me how to be a coach. He taught me what to look for. He taught me how to watch film, what I was trying to find out, what the defense was doing.
Mike was very knowledgeable of the game, and he also was very, he'd fire you up. I mean, you get rah-rah. And I think Coach Landry recognized that maybe the staff needed a little bit of that.
I wasn't surprised because I think Tom realized how smart Ditka was. Mike was a very smart football player and a very smart coach. He did a great job. His only problem was he was a little stubborn. And the great thing about it is that Coach Landry kind of subdued the stubbornness and made him more flexible.
It was a second life for me. And a lot of people get a second life and they screw it up. I didn't screw it up. At least my mind, I was going in the right direction at that time. And he was the reason I was going in the right direction.
On more than one occasion, Mike was, because of his competitiveness, every time he thought that there was a bad call, he let him know about it.
That linebacker, I jumped him and came to the, quote, protection of my teammate.
On first down, Roger will throw, and he has Drew Pearson. Knocked out of bounds by Rome Johnson, but a Dallas first down. And a flag is down.
Do the old indent throw. Might have been Mike Ditka that just got one shot in the back of Johnson. He still thinks he could play, the coach.
Film day, I believe it was Tuesdays. We always watched film of the previous game. In that film day, the altercation was shown. And Mike spoke up. He says, "That's why I want guys like Preston Pearson on my team." I'll never forget that.
Another former Cowboys player, Dan Reeves, also became a longtime Landry assistant coach, working alongside Ditka.
I think the time that we spent together, certainly helped bring us, closer together, and the respect that we had, for each other. The respect I had for Mike, I don't know that Mike ever got credit, from other players of realizing how smart and how much football knowledge Mike had.
There was a communication problem between the coaching staff and the players back in that era, and both he and Dan Reeves did a really good job of communicating what the players think, to the coaching staff, and it ran so much better with those two as coaches because they played for Landry. The other coaches, hadn't played in Dallas.
And so Ditka grabbed me by the hand when I was a rookie. He says, "You're going to be my guy." Now, we had a couple of, screaming matches. I threatened to kill him. I mean, I wasn't going to kill him, but I was going to beat his ass. He was high intensity. He would scream for no damn reason at all. But he was the first coach that trusted me to do a job.
But Mike Ditka always gave me the confidence and always supported me in a capacity that was peculiar to us. He'd always say son, and sometimes there's some other things that were associated with son. But he said, I don't have a control of you getting in the game. But if you continue doing what you're doing, you're going to be in, they can't stop you. And you know what, as a young guy, 21-year-old rookie, to have a Hall of Famer backing you in that capacity was worth his weight in gold.
As a coach, Ditka is often remembered for his intensity, his yelling and screaming. But make no mistake, he could also strategize with the best of them.
Well, Mike was the first one, that came up with the idea that we ought to use the shotgun, and I'm going, shotgun, what the heck we want to do? And he said, it'll give us a little bit more time. We got a quarterback that can scramble.
It wasn't my idea, but I think what I said is that why don't we do it like the old single wing, move the quarterback away? And he thought about it for a while. He came in and he had a whole bunch of plays designed off of that, and you had the perfect guy. You had Staubach, you had Roger that was the perfect guy for it.
So we were one of the first teams that, used the shotgun, and there's no question that elevated us offensively. To where we went to, a lot of Super Bowls and, and certainly being in the shotgun had a lot to do with it, and that was, the suggestion that Mike had, to start with.
Inside story that most people don't know about Super Bowl 10 was that Ditka went to Landry and said, I think the reverse is a good play here. Landry says, game's too big. I don't want a linebacker handling the ball the first play of the game, But Ditka talked him into it,
The pass intended for Ron Mars. Ditka's still fired up.
Mike Ditka, as tough as they come, but with a soft side of humility and generosity unmatched. Perhaps no football player has ever bought more drinks for both himself and the bar. And of course, everyone has an Iron Mike story.
Well, my go-to story I can't put on the air.
My reputation probably precedes me, but I'm not a bad guy.
Mike takes out of life with a gusto, and he gives back with a gusto. So he's got a great balance to his life. He would do anything for you, and he also would he lives life to the fullest.
We used to call him Mad Dog Ditka. Now, we didn't call it to his face, but the players say, hey, that's Mad Dog Ditka over there. That's just him.
So he had a car accident, and he was in rare form, and hit his teeth on the steering wheel and knocked out his front teeth, and went to the dentist, and the dentist said, do you need some anesthetic? He said, no, just pull them out. So they just pulled the teeth out without them.
He tore up the deck of cards. I never seen anybody rip a deck of cards, but that's how competitive he was. He didn't want, and I mean, believe me, he's beating my brains out, at gin rummy. I mean, he was a great gin rummy player, and I had to work, on luck. I had to get the cards, to do it. But he got so mad and lipped those cards, and it just stunned me.
I think he had a few words with some of the opposition, but that was just Ditka. He might have known him, I don't know. But anyway, he gave it all he had, and he would put you on the ground if he could.
I think you can put the word aggressive on Mike, and then I also think you can put the words nice. Nice man.
In 1982, with Landry's strongest recommendation, the Chicago Bears named Ditka their head coach. He remained there for 11 seasons, winning 106 games and a Super Bowl. In that Lombardi Trophy campaign of 1985, the Bears handed Landry the most lopsided defeat of his career. For Mike Ditka, it was his least favorite win as a head coach.
I tell you, we went down there and we played them, and we were pretty good, and they weren't so good. And that's the game we beat them 44-0. Now, you can call off the dogs. I tried to call off the dogs. I told Buddy to quit blitzing. He didn't quit blitzing. And I went up to coach after the game, and I really felt terrible. I said, it's always good to win a game, but I said, Coach, I'm really sorry that this thing got away like this. I apologize. You know what he said? He said, Mike, I knew you guys were good, but I didn't know you were that good. That was all he said.
To this day, Ditka considers his time in Dallas as perhaps the most influential of his life. In fact, if not for Tom Landry, Mike Ditka would have been just another Hall of Fame tight end, forgotten by time, instead of the football icon he became.
His example was so great. It was to me. It was so great to me, and you can't emulate a man like that because his Christianity was the most important thing in his life. Believe me, more important than the Cowboys than anything else. His family, I say God, family, football. In that order. That's the way it was with Tom. God, family, football. The one thing that got out of that whole thing is I think he did so much good in the number of years he lived. It was unbelievable. Not only I'm talking about for him as a man, but for the people around him, for his family, for his friends, for the example that he set for so many people, and me being one, because I mean, his example was unbelievable.
I still remember him wearing that one face bar for many years. And he was sort of like Ernie Stoutner, who was our coach with the Cowboys. Ernie was he was just born tough, not mean, just tough. And I think Mike was the same way. I think Mike was born tough, and he was. And he still is, I think.
He was really an interesting guy. Very same kind of personality that he had as a player. You know, he was strong-willed and strong, opinionated, but he was I liked him. He and I were friends.
If Mike gets a chance to listen to this, and I hope that he does, is that I owe my professional career to Coach Ditka.
He's just everything. You know, he's a good guy. He's a jerk. he's funny. He hits all your emotions, but he's a full of life guy, and he's just unvarnished, and a lot of good memories of him around the team.
He was a tough, hard-nosed player, but he was a team player, and he was a leader, and that's why I believe he was able to be successful as a coach also.
He gave me a chance, first of all, and then I made good on the chance. And then when I got out and he asked me to be an assistant coach, my whole life changed. It had purpose. It never had that before. Hell, I would have been owning some bar somewhere down in Dallas. I was the luckiest guy in the world. I fell into something and got to work for him.
The Dallas Cowboys Legends Show was presented by AT&T. Texas Lottery. Play the Dallas Cowboys scratch ticket today. It's your ticket for a chance to win big. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.